also, I should say, when I was much younger, when in the late 70s, early 80s, before everything fell apart and we had to move to Texas for a minute. Um, my parents owned roller skating rinks, um,
Ooh.
co-owned with an aunt and uncle, but that meant I had this really early childhood of being an amateur speed skater. And I come from a really big family. We have like 29 cousins and all these other. So we were all on the speed skating teams and ran around and did all of these things. And that the reason I brought that up is because there was this parallel, though, between the roller skating rinks and the church. And I think it's indicative of that kind of religion too, is when my parents owned the roller skating rinks above the DJ booth, my dad on Friday night with all the cool teenagers and everything, I was a tiny little girl and I would do puppet shows at the roller skating rink and all the teens would just like sit down and the DJ would give me the mic and I would run these whole puppet shows. I did the same thing in the church. So on Sunday morning, my dad would do a children's time. My dad always, all the kids come up and he would do a thing just for the kids. And he he had these puppets and he would also let me do the same thing there. So I think that's sort of the religion I grew up in. It wasn't me and my brother and sister were not naughty. Like we didn't rebel. We were all pretty generally easy. So
Mm.
that's the
And you
origin.
lived rent free after this part, right? Like he didn't have to pay anything for rent for the.
Right. That's why it was a real game changer. I mean, because my mom was a mail carrier, which she retired from. And my dad was a minister and a social worker. And so, financially, we were not top of the line. And so then when we got that parsonage, or my dad got that position and we moved in, and my siblings were gone, it was like for someone, a kid like me at like 15 when we moved in there, it felt very lottery like
Mm, yeah.
because it was like a two-story. I mean, our other house was two-story, but it was actually the second story was the attic. This house was a full two-story, five-bedroom, full kitchen with island, and like I said, it came with cable, which you know we didn't have things like that. So it was very exciting. It also, I mean, it had all the appliances. That was like amazing to walk into a place and you're like, oh my God, there's like a functioning blender. I mean, all of that happened because, of course, my mother, who worked a full time job, was still expected to host
Of
gatherings.
course, she's the the
The minister's
preacher's, yeah,
wife,
the minister's wife. Yeah.
which I do believe actually my mother loved. I think she really enjoyed the community and I mean, I'm sure it was so exhausting, but the weekend activities, I mean, everyone understood she worked too, so she wasn't doing like a bunch of Tuesday night things. There was other people, but a lot of weekend stuff, a lot of parties, a lot of events at that parsonage. And the other thing that was amazing was my dad's office, because as a minister, he did a lot of counseling, was attached to the parsonage. And that was also very cool because we had spent all these years where my dad was driving hours to, preach on a Sunday at another church, but also several days a week because you counsel. So to have him right there was also a new treat, I mean, so yeah.
Wow, I'm developing an interpretation of your backdrop. It
Mm-hmm.
looks like it combines the wheels from your speed skating,
Mm-hmm.
right? The roller skater wheels with the minister thing with the light coming, right? There's like a whole, right?
I love that.
And so it seems very fitting from what we know about your early or earlier days. But it's about this time that we sort of say, "Hey, Cyndi, how would you like to be introduced?"
Yes, I was just gonna say.
Mhm.
We're glad to have you here. How are you thinking of yourself right
Well, it
now
says
in the
there
world?
Cyndi Coon, futurist.
Yeah, I mean, definitely am a futurist, but I would add more than that right now. Um, that's like a work title, but I really feel like my futurist lens, how I want to be thought of more, I think, is no matter what I'm doing, it's human centric,
Right.
but in a way also that now I'm bringing back another important element that has been long buried that I will be carrying, which is my artist self. I'm a trained artist. I have a master's of fine art. But I walked a long journey in the government, military, academia world that did strong encouraging not to merge those things.
Mm.
And I'm disengaging from that truth. And so I would say now, I really want to start with, the artist, move into the futurist, but it's got a wrapper of the only reason I care is because of the humans.